The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and make the guilty innocent, and that's power because they control the minds of the masses. The words of Brother Malcolm. And once upon a time, those were the words of someone who was criticizing the media from a place of honesty, person who was speaking truth to power. The cultural institution of the media had been leveraged against people who were fighting against the total control of the machine. So much has changed. Nothing's really changed, and we all know it. The only things that have changed are the faces and the actual teams that are running the institution. It is constantly a struggle of the people against the power, and it has been that way throughout history. We can't expect anything to change. But the faces are changing, and the nature of the media is changing, and there are new distinctions drawn every day between the media as is understood in the sense of the legacy media and the media that we have all become by default. Witness what happened earlier this week. Elon Musk. Elon Musk was instrumental, to hear the legacy media tell it, solely responsible for killing an omnibus spending bill that the machine was trying to rush through. And I'm not calling out the left or the right on this one. The Republicans were just as guilty, and they all got called out. But here's the important bit. If we didn't have that platform, if we did not have X, there would have been no transparency. Elon was roundly criticized for saying we are the media now just a couple of weeks ago, but this week pretty much proved it. We are the media now. The machine are showing their true faces in the response. Basically, this 1,600-page bill that was crammed with pork and all sorts of unspeakable things that we're going to go into later in the program got submitted for a vote when no one would have had time to read it. No one even seems to know who authored the damn thing. All Elon did was go public on X. His platform, paid for with his money. Him being an American citizen, he had the right to do so. And the machine reacted exactly as you would have expected to. Rosa DeLauro here, this wicked witch of the West, well, Western Connecticut anyway, a multi-billionaire with apparently no working knowledge of government. The problem, Miss DeLauro, is the fact that he does have a working knowledge of government. More to the point, he has a working knowledge of how that government works. And he understands, unlike Republican and Democratic members of Congress, with regard to this bill, that this is not the mandate that the American people gave them. How odd that for the first time in human history, as I've gone over on this program before, the richest man on the planet isn't one of them. The richest man on the planet doesn't serve the machine, and the machine doesn't know what to deal with that. Just to give you a little visual aid here, this is Nancy Mace, and I should point out, Nancy Mace was one of the hardliners in Congress that was opposed to the bill on principle. And may I point out, that's a really, really beautiful woman. Anyway, sidebar. That bill that's in front of her is the bill as presented. That bill to her right, to your left, if you're looking at the picture, is the bill as submitted after Elon was done doing his work. Now, oh, and I should point out the medical dressing on her hand is because she was physically assaulted inside the Capitol building by a trans activist earlier in the week. Apropos of nothing, just wanted to throw that out there just in case anyone was wondering. In any case, that bill that was essential, that bill that Ms. DeLauro told you we just couldn't live without all the things that were in it, we somehow managed to whittle it down to 160 pages. And these same people, including Ms. DeLauro, that were ready to vote for a bill that they could not have possibly read in that amount of time, refused to vote on the smaller one. even though they knew exactly what was contained therein. Yes, indeed, Elon does have a working knowledge of government, which is exactly why it was so important to kill this bill. But of course, the mouthpieces, the propaganda ministry, they all came out and talked about what a threat it was. Like so many other facets of the culture right now, if you're not going to do a job, you don't have the right to get upset when someone else steps into that position and does it for you. This doesn't just speak for individuals, this speaks for institutions, particularly the media. But we have become the media now, and we have, at the behest and because of the hard work of Elon Musk, begun holding ourselves to that higher standard, begun demanding transparency, and begun demanding results from our representatives, those so-called leaders that supposedly work for us. Now, you can't exactly blame either the media or the people that still believe that these people speak anything approximating the truth for feeling the way that they do. Jeffrey Bowyer Chapman, when you're surrounded by a world of constant lies, manipulation, and deceit, that dark energy is bound to seep into you eventually. Well, of course it's going to. They're trying to demoralize you by design. And that's what the gaslighting is about. Gaslighting, you say. Gaslighting. When they tell you to ignore the evidence of your own eyes and ears, this is New York Governor Kathy Hochul earlier this week. Making subways safer. Ridership is up 184%. Crime is down 42%. Not going into the deeper charts. Let's just leave to the side for a minute that the deeper charts presented that almost every facet of crime on the subways was up, including violent crime. Overall, the only thing that pulled it down was that property crime on the subway has absolutely dropped off the charts. Hey, congratulations. No more vandalism, no more spray painting, that kind of property crime. Yeah, that's certainly down. But violent crimes, without exception, are up. Talking about murders, talking about felony assaults, talking about any number of things. But let's leave aside the open gaslighting. Hochul was trying to present a case for the subway. And the subway, as if to spite her, less than 24 hours later, set a woman on fire. Yeah, no, really, that was the headline. Woman dies after catching fire on subway. Look it up yourself. New York Daily News and a couple other sources. Woman dies after catching fire on subway. And in the small print, New York police detectives suspect homicide. Woman dies after catching fire. Police suspect homicide. Wouldn't it have been easier just to say, dude sets woman on fire? But no. Subway riders catch on fire in the same way that cars drive into crowds at Christmas markets overseas. It's never the actual perpetrator, and that is part of the darkness and the lies and the demoralization. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. In fact, I'm not just preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to other preachers. But let's keep digging, folks. Hochul says subway crime is down. This woman dies on the subway. Cars drive into markets. Okay, this woman didn't die after catching fire on the subway. She died after this perpetrator, this illegal Guatemalan migrant, this migrant who was previously deported under Trump and was let back in unvetted into the United States under Biden. He was the root cause of the fire that took the woman's life. And by the way, you should find the video. It is deeply and profoundly disturbing. This woman stood and moved, taking her last breath. And what's even more jarring is the fact that no one did anything to extinguish the fire. No one came close. They stood by, filming on their mobile phones. This man was at the root of that fire. This man was behind the wheel of the car that drove itself through a crowd at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany. But the gaslighting doesn't just stop there. Once we realize that it's actually a man responsible and not a car, they try to turn it around again and say that he is a Islamophobic right-wing extremist. Damn that video that shows him screaming Allahu Akbar as he's arrested. The lies never end. Taking it back to the quote, when you're surrounded by a world of constant lies, manipulation, and deceit, that dark energy is bound to seep into you eventually. There's no accident here. Are they hypocrites? Yes. Are they pushing an agenda and a narrative? Of course they are. But that's not the point. The point is to dehumanize. And in response to the woman that caught on fire, illegal migrants took to the streets to protest that they have a right to be here, even though the guy came from among them and was actually staying at a taxpayer-funded shelter for illegals. In response to the car that drove itself through the crowd in Germany, migrants took to the streets demanding, and I quote, global intifada. Coexist may be a popular bumper sticker, but one cannot coexist with people that want you dead. Now, we can't hope for any change from the media itself, the media being what it is, an institution. Institutions have the pathetic megalomania of the computer whose whole vision of the world is its own program. They're locked in. They're not coming out of it. Gaslighting, lies, manipulation, deception, all part of the program, all part of that megalomania. There's no hope of correcting itself. But those institutions that have dug in to our culture over the past decades are falling apart. The institution of the media is losing any traction, while us acting as media now have not only platforms but reach. And as more and more people fall off the fence and realize that they're being lied to, they fall squarely on our side. Institutions have the pathetic megalomania of the computer whose whole vision of the world is its own program, said Mary Douglas. The institutions are new. The traditions that we are falling back to are old. People are able to call evil evil now. Their voices can't be silenced, and their voices can't be marginalized. The only resort that the institution has left is force, and they are in no position to exercise that. We are falling back to tradition, ladies and gentlemen, and let's remember that tradition is not the worship of ashes. It is the preservation of fire. With regard to the media, they failed in their responsibilities. We, as a people, stepped up and assumed the mantle. They can no longer be effective as purveyors of dehumanizing lies when the institution has fallen and the tradition of exercising our free speech, the tradition of speaking the truth has risen to take its place. We're over the hump. We're past the turning point, and we are ready to start fighting forward after decades of fighting back. And it is a good time to be alive. But remember, we're not completely out of the muck yet. So keep speaking those truths. They may have a louder speaker, they may have a faster printer, but we have the truth. In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Well, the revolution will be televised, not on a legacy media platform, but on one that is helmed by people who actually do have the interests and concerns of the people at heart. What a great time to be alive. So don't let it get to you, man. We win. And the victory has begun before the policies are even having time to be implemented. We're not even to January yet, and we're on a roll. Chin down, knuckles up, and keep swinging for the fences. We are just on the verge of taking it to them, and it's a beautiful time to be alive. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else is on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors. And I cannot stress this enough because I've got another one coming up here in just a couple of days. Certainly not employers. That PSA was for the sake of you dox happy Antifa maggots out there, not like it's going to do you any good. In any case, these thoughts and opinions, the aforementioned sentiments, have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to stretch open that unwilling maw and choke you with truth cock, fistful after fistful, until your swollen gut can handle no more. Welcome back, boys and girls. Time once again for the sermon. Glad y'all made it out. Now tell me when I kick over here that the sound is working, because that would have been a hell of a thing to have to go and redo. Everybody in for the drum roll. Where you at? Yes! Outstanding, boys and girls. We have made it out on a Monday night. Coming to you live from level 2, the command center level of the Bart Bunker in Spokane, Washington. Coming hard charging out of the starting gate as we always do. Red Desert gut stomping rock and roll band from the smoldering embers and crumbling ruins of the once great American city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The name of the band is Red Desert. The name of the track is Older, No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. I'm feeling pretty good about this week. Bounce over here for a roll call real quick, which find out which one of you usual suspects have showed up early. OG, Prophet of Doom, and Reverend Ranger, Brother Dennis Weimer. Happy to have you on board. Roman, good to see you back, man. Been missing you, brother. Glad you made it out, man. Glad you guys had time to carry on a nice little conversation, looks like, while I was still working on the opener. Deacon Mark in the house, on the back porch, enjoying some adult sodas and some smokable consumables with his lovely wife, Ida. Happy to have you guys make it out. The OG, sinner sister herself, the divine Miss Emmy. Happy to have you on board, man. And of course, where would Roman be without Carrie in tow? Thank you so much, both of y'all, for everything, man. I hope you guys are planning an outstanding holiday, and I hope it lives up to and exceeds every expectation. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Just one shopping at your store. Not your, but your company, right? Got that. All right, let's bump up Reverend Bart in the algorithm. Brother Thomas Tolleby, the working man's Musashi from the left coast, man. Happy to have you on board, brother. Another denizen of the inland Northwest. Don't forget, Brother Tom's got a class coming up. I'll let him give you the details over here about the dates and stuff, but Stubbas and Stabbas is a class that he's got coming up. A lot of you guys up here in the Northwest have been like, hey, man, we can't make it down to Texas, man. Who do we train with up here? Now you got your answer. Stubbas and Stabbas coming up. So be willing to check that out, man. You guys look into it. What do we got? 26 starts off next week. $50 off select styles of mechanic. Well, that's going to make Ryan happy for sure. If it's oh, and speaking of mechanics and speaking of Ryan, here we go. How society understands the media are the narcissistic girlfriend in this day and age. You're absolutely correct, my friend. Candy can smash Craig Barrel trigger out of the box. An extremely fun weapon. See, it's almost like I knew. And I got to tell you, man, Ryan made a believer out of me with regards to the Canic. I put hands to it. I'm not a Canic guy per se, but I don't have anything bad to say about the weapon. It's extremely well put together. It's a decent platform, and if you are comfortable with it, it's the one to run. I mean, beyond your comfort level, reliability is everything. Reliability, durability, robustness, for lack of a better word. So yeah, man, if they're running a deal on those Canics, it's worth looking into for sure. Doge take no, we're not going to Doge take a current second look at the Patriot Act, perhaps. I think we can count on that. I think we can count on it, man. There's going to be a whole lot of things, man. We are over the hill, and I can't wait to get into that because this was the first big test. We're gonna get into it, guys. Let me make sure I got everybody on board. All right, JT, last of the Grady Park hooligans, man. I've really been digging it, man. Posting the pictures of the stick fighting gatherings back in the day, man. It's missing the days, brother. Really, really am. And it's fantastic. Thank you again for the support, JT. Glad you made it out, brother. Bill Wade, my brother in Christ, my brother in arms, my brother. Always good to have you here, Bill. Always good to have you. No one is coming to save us. Yep. You better believe that, brother. No one is coming to save it. Stay vigilant. You got that right. See if I missed anybody else. I think we got Phil Lewis checking in from Tyler, just down the road from Deacon Mark and his lovely wife Ida. What do we got here? Let's see. No, Wayne. You're not late, bro. You're not. You're good. We just had a bit of a long opener, and then we're just kind of just doing the roll call here. I'm gonna go ahead and start fading the bumper music out. You guys take a look at that right there, brother Thomas. Mechanic get up Centralia, Washington, March 15th and 16th. Stabbers and Stubbers. And I got to tell you guys, Tom has paid his dues. He has paid his dues, and he has earned every inch of the accolades that are starting to come in. You guys are definitely in good hands if you are in the Pacific Northwest. Stubbers and Stabbers coming up the 15th and 16th of March. I will be out of town, and we'll get into the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's, and the how's about that in just a second here. Let me go ahead and cue this up so we're good to go on the next audio, and we swing over. By the way, filed writ and interference, 3 lawsuits. It never ends. It never ends, brother. I'm going to give you a buzz as soon as we get wrapped up tonight. So have your ringer on, brother. We are gonna cover it. And guys, if you're here, please just a word of prayer. All right. It's tough, brother. It's really, really tough. And especially for you guys out there that have been through the custody fights and the hell on earth that can be the family court system, having to go through that as a man it's a demoralizing, dehumanizing thing. Yeah, I see that, John. Yeah, JT, you definitely feel that. You know exactly what it's like. So for the sake of my brother Ryan, if everybody could just make sure to keep the man in your prayers. Offer it up to him. Make sure he knows that he's got a support network of people behind him, because that is no effing joke. He is primary. Yeah, and that's the kicker with it, man. He's actually the primary, and HPD still won't help out. Just while we're on that with family courts, this is the classic example of everything we try to explain to these people. Even when he is the primary, you can't get a hand. You cannot get a hand from the family court system or from the police who are allegedly there to enforce the will and the dictates of the family court system. They won't do it. If if he were female, let's just call it what it is because we've all been there. If he were female, he could literally walk into the Montrose substation with track marks and reeking of meth if he were a woman, and demand that they do something to grab the kid back, and they'd go. A woman could call in a random complaint, and they are compelled by law to go and investigate it. Here he is as a man. Right. Thank you, Emmy. Yep. She's experienced it from that end. I went through the same with the same sorts of things trying to get custody of my daughter many years ago. That's the thing. It's yeah, right. Until the judge's retirement is no longer funded by child support, it won't change, right? And that's a massive. And you know what? I think we can and probably should do a whole program on that. But for the sake of this, we know what time it is, man. We know what time it is. If you are a man and you are in the family court system, your feet are sliced out from under you before you even get on the path, man. So for whatever it's worth, Ryan, we're out here with you. Everybody who's walking in the faith, just keep Ryan in your prayers on that tip. And we'll jump on in. We'll jump on into this thing. Let me thank Roman, of course. Roman, dear friend of mine for many, many years, been a strong supporter of my personal endeavors, been a strong supporter of the program as well. And his lovely wife Carrie and Allie and Roxy and the bevy of beautiful women over at opiumtales.com, the erotic pinups and portraits people. Roman's got two books out now on Amazon. Look for them under Roman Riva. One is going to be Roman Freely, which is a collection of his work, and the other one is going to be From Dork to Pimp Daddy, which is basically his journey. How did we get from a point of being just Joe blue collar techie guy to a guy that gets paid for the privilege of painting beautiful naked women? Well, you want to know? You can find out. You check out both of those books, Roman Freely and From Dork to Pimp Daddy. They're available under the name Roman Riva on Amazon, and you can check out the testosterone-driven commentary that rounds off opiumtales.com by going to the website itself. And I think we got you back on all social media platforms now, brother. I don't know if you're on the gram. I know you're back on Twitter, which of course the irony is just amazing. So that's always good. In any case, man, take care of the people who are taking care of the program. The people that support me and that support the program, make it possible for me to bring you this content. You know, I do it as a labor of love because, you know, it's my therapy. You know what I mean? Twitter and Substack only now. All right, cool. Follow them on both Twitter and Substack. And pretty soon, man, I'm looking at a whole lot of changes going into the new year, but we can get into that in a bit. I want to give a quick sponsor shout out to Casey and Dusty Tellison, Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. Period. End of statement. Done. Sit down. Shut up. You're wrong. They are it. They're it. Period. Done. Fight me. Casey and Dusty Tellison, man, Nordic Smoke Barbecue, one of a kind. They've been featured on Guy Fieri's program, and they're really big up here. The Viking Longship, the big smoker trailer, is sailing the asphalt seas. They are setting up and doing catering gigs. They are smoking holiday birds. They are damn fine people, and they put out a damn fine product, and they're really, really good friends of mine as well. And on the subject of books, check out Casey's book, Freaks of a Feather. It was a combat memoir that started out as a suicide note. That's the best review I can give you. That's why I keep bringing it back to that, because I mean, what says it better? This was a combat memoir that started out as a suicide note. The fact that he's still breathing is a testament to his resiliency. The fact that this book is as amazing as it is a testament to his gift as a writer. If you got guys that dig war books, if you guys that just dig good writing, check it out. Freaks of a Feather, available on Amazon, published by Latop Press out of right here in Spokane, Washington. Wow, okay, I'm getting bombarded over here. Yeah, so it seems like my notepad is alive, but I got to keep it on the production screen here and make sure that we address all of the good stuff that we had planned on getting into. Let me see here. Bang, bang, bang. All right. 2 killings prove that nuance isn't dead. We're going to save that one for the end, or maybe somewhere in the middle, because it folds in just about everywhere, man. We are in a damaged world. That is the understatement of the year. We're in a damaged world. We're in a damaged world, and nothing is making sense. But things that used to have some sort of gravity, talking about the sanctity of human life and whatnot, they become a punchline, man. They become a punchline. And I guess a lot of that really brought it home. When I took a look at what happened on the subway yesterday, day before, uh, this woman was asleep. And guys, look up the video. Look up the video. Nothing could have provoked this. She was asleep. I don't know whether there was an accelerant used to get the fire started, but the guy walked into a subway car and set a sleeping woman on fire. On fire. When she realized that she was lit up, she stood up and tried to move. Now, keep in mind, the subway had come to a complete stop, and there they stand, people around with their phones out, recording it. One guy standing behind her, civilian, doesn't know the first thing about how to address a situation like this. One guy who appears to be a cop walks right past her. She is standing, literally clinging to the bar that you hold on to when you're riding this. She's standing there on fire, turning, moving, as if somebody help me, somebody help me. Guy standing behind her with a blanket. He's got a blanket. You guys already know. Everyone here, just hearing it, whether you've seen the video or not, when you do see the video, you're going to be jumping out of your chair, screaming. Stop, drop, and roll. All right? Who here is not aware of stop, drop, and roll? And if you're aware of stop, drop, and roll, it stands to reason that in the same basic fire safety class that we all got in elementary school, in the public schools, that you know to smother the flame. The guy is standing there with a blanket. And he walks up, I am not making this up, walks up with the blanket and starts fanning. I'm gonna go. I don't want to believe in my heart of hearts that he knew what he was doing, right? But the world the way it is right now, I honestly can't rule it out. Whether he's just too dumb to realize that you've got an asset here, wrap her up, get her to the ground, smother the flames out. But he does this. I don't believe that it was an intentional attempt to fan the flames. I do not believe that. Let me be clear. But would anybody be surprised? The killer, Guatemalan. Beg your pardon, folks. The killer's Guatemalan. Previously deported under the racist and bigoted policies of Donald Trump. Let me cover Charlie Kirk on Twitter. The illegal Guatemalan who burned a woman to death on the New York subway, Sebastian Zapata, was deported under Trump's racist and xenophobic immigration policies and then snuck back into our country, but was never deported again under the humane and compassionate policies of the Biden administration. Now that's Charlie Kirk, and you and I both know his political leanings. So, but there's no way to look at this. There's no way to look at this objectively, right? There's no way. It's what is that? I saw a person type cat kill on femoral. Dude, yeah, I mean, yeah, people don't have even the most basic understanding. And even when people should have a basic understanding, your first impulse is to record. There's a person on fire in front of you, and your first impulse is to pull out your phone and record. Something's missing, people. Something's missing. But it speaks to all sorts of things. Another triumph for multiculturalism. And we're at a point, thank God, for Tom Homan. Tom Homan is not playing. Tom Homan is not playing by a damn sight. He is not effing around by any stretch of the imagination. Homan is playing for keeps, and he's coming in playing hardball, and he's got the full support of the administration and the DOJ behind them. January is getting ready to be real effing interesting because we're already hitting the ground rolling. Already hitting the ground rolling. The man hasn't even. He went to the White House for a short visit with Biden, who voted for him. Believe it, dude. Believe it. Joe and Jill voted for Trump. You know they did after what they got handed by their own party. In any case, these are the changes that are being made before he even shows up. He's not even day one yet, man. Not even day one. The Houthis want a ceasefire. Hamas wants a ceasefire. Zelensky knows the gravy train's coming to an end, so he's ready to buck up to the negotiating table. Putin's ready to step up and get what should have been his to begin with. All of this is happening. The man has not even taken office yet. It's going to be incredible. And hearing the shrieking histrionics of the other team is going to be glorious. It's going to be beautiful. Are they going to do something? Yeah, Bart, you know they're going to do something. Yeah, they're going to do so. Yeah, they're definitely going to try. They're definitely going to try. They are laying the groundwork because they know. We went over this a little bit last week. They basically they've blown their whole collar on this one, man. It's all boom, it's gone. Do they still have some things in the works? Definitely. They probably still have a couple of barbers out there ready to give them that JFK haircut. Definitely. Bet on it. They're going to. Are they planning on sabotaging them from the inside? Definitely. But this is the glory of what happened this week. Is that they're already failing to control the man, and he's not even in the office yet. Don't forget, what did we say? Don't forget the governor of Canada, right? Ha! Trudeau's on his way out. Trudeau is on his way out in Canada. Trump's not responsible for that, obviously. But culturally, we are seeing it go. After what happened in Germany this week, where the car drove itself through a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany. All of a sudden, the AfD are front runners. People are being able to look right next door at their former communist bloc brethren in Poland and in Hungary and say, wow, they don't have cars driving through their Christmas markets. I wonder what it could be. It's tipping, man. It's tipping. We are rolling forward. Decent human beings are rolling forward. Western civilization is rolling forward. Christendom is moving forward. And all of the lies and all of the gaslighting and all of the things that have been used in conjunction with one another to tamp it down, the media manipulation no longer holds any weight. The propaganda, people aren't buying it. What about these? Yeah, okay. If you're an MSNBC viewer, I can't help you. But the point is, they're not buying it. Their power is gone, and they know it. Trump is not the bellwether. Trump is not the tipping point. Trump is not the great American statesman. He doesn't have to be. He's the right man, the right place, at the right time with the right ideas. Now, as I've stressed here with you guys before, do not put all your hope and faith and confidence into one man, any man. Unless that man was hung and bled out on a crucifix in a place called Golgotha, don't go putting 100% confidence that somebody got to come save you. We got to put the work in. But I'm saying, people, what I'm saying is, what a great time to be alive to put the work in. The most difficult part of this was surviving until we hit the tipping point. And now we're over that hump. What do you mean the toughest part, man? We can still wind up with bloodshed in the streets, man. We could be okay. Yeah, yes. Not only is that a possibility, I would say that there's a pretty good likelihood that there's going to be street level dust ups before this is over with. I'm going to say there is a pretty solid likelihood that elements of the state who are so intertwined and codependent with the machine are going to do their level best. They're going to put people in prison. They are going to kill people. They've done it before. There's no reason to even play with the idea that they're not willing, able, and in all likelihood will do it again. It doesn't matter. It matters to the people that are going to be on the receiving end of it. It matters to the people. It matters to the J6 grandmothers who have been sitting 3 years in solitary confinement on misdemeanors. It matters to them. It matters to the pro-life activists who are sitting in prison after being dragged out by FBI agents in the early morning hours with machine guns in front of their kids. It matters to them. So in that sense, yes, it should matter. But they are the casus belli. They are the cause. They are the ones that did the important work to get us past that tipping point. They are the ones that suffered to bring the machine into public view and to tear off that mask. What a great time to be alive. You know, there was actually a point to this. There was actually a bullet point to this before I went off on a tear. But hey, that's where we are. What do we got, Dennis? The government machine is like the dish of blood in John Carpenter's The Thing. Every part of it will fight in any way. Yes, they will lash out and they will come forward to the very end. You are absolutely right, brother. You're absolutely right. And we expect it. We expect it. This is part of the process of change to be enacted. Yes, indeed. But JT, here's the really great part. What we got to witness with that continuing resolution bill this week. Now, full disclosure, big fan of Elon. Everyone saying Elon? Oh, big fan. Big fan. So you can bet nothing I say here is going to be objective. But what I'm going to hit you with are some objective facts. Okay? He bought Twitter. And Twitter and Rumble are the only platforms that truly allow freedom of speech as much as it is possible. There's no such thing as a 100% free speech platform. They've all got community standards. You can't just have people out there, inciting riots and such. Okay. So every platform is going to have restrictions. I should say that it is the only platform that does not actively censor and push for the censorship of opposition viewpoints. The only one. Period. End of statement. Done. Thank God that Elon bought that platform. Thank God that platform was available to us through the election cycle, and thank God it will be available to us going forward. Why do you think they fought so hard to try to get him under wraps, to try to put him in prison, to try to pull him up on things that would damage his credibility? I want you guys to look at this, and I'm gonna read this off for you pretty much verbatim, but you guys can look into it. When Reuters, you guys familiar with Reuters? Reuters, like the Associated Press, one of the big major news wires, where all the other journalists get their information. That's where they get their stories, and then it gets disseminated out to the different to different locations, different affiliate stations and whatnot. This is something that came out this week under Joe Biden, the Biden DOJ with Merrick Garland at the helm, publicly ordered 11 federal agencies to look into Elon Musk. All 11 of those federal agencies open investigations. They funneled a total of $300 million to Reuters, and then Reuters turned around and did attack pieces based on this information. In other words, Biden said, look into him, go find some bad things, and dispatched 11 different federal agencies to look into the stuff. Not one of them found anything indictable, right? The SEC just gave a toothless ultimatum to him last week about you better do this or we're going to which that was the appropriate and expected response. But with 11 federal agencies all investigating the man, they funneled $300 million collectively through those agencies to Reuters, which is basically, we would really like to see you guys objectively report on the fine work our federal agencies are doing. Here's a little money to give you resources to cover the story. And what it came out with was hit piece after hit piece after hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. A lot of people hate Elon Musk. I get it. I get it. If that was all that you were told about the man, and this is what you heard constantly, you would probably be uncomfortable with the fact that he's got close proximity with the president and is basically, for all intents and purposes, a default member of the presidential cabinet. I can understand. If you were that rooted in the machine, then things that are going to impede the process of the machine are going to be a problem for you. I get that. In any case, he has the platform. And thanks to that platform, that 1,600-page bill that came down your way. And what were, let me see. You know what? I'm going to punch this up. Worst things in the CR bill that failed. There we go. Bang, bang. Worst things in the CR. Okay, there we go. So, they did wind up passing the funding bill and avoiding the government shutdown. They did manage to do that regardless. So all of the horror stories, oh my goodness, it's going to cut pay for this and it's going to shut down the government. When a government shuts down, when the federal government shuts down, we've had a number of federal government shutdowns, all right, in recent history and dating all the way back. And it really just doesn't matter. For all intents, The military is still getting paid. There is a whole separate resolution for that. This bill was not about funding the government. This bill was not about essential things for the good of the people or the operations of the federal government. But I can tell you some of the things that were in there. They had an entire section devoted to making it impossible to prosecute any federal employee that was involved in the lawfare against Donald Trump. In fact, they made it a crime to investigate anyone who was associated with that committee. That was in the bill. Another several billion slid under the table to Ukraine on the way out the door, right? All of these things. And they tried to say that it was about storm relief and it was disaster relief. And right, okay, fine. But that wasn't the purpose of the bill. They hung it on that so they could yell at the Republicans and say, look, see, they blocked funding for storm relief. No, they didn't block funding for storm relief. They blocked the unnecessary expenditure of billions upon billions of dollars on complete giveaway programs, meaningless stuff with regard to foreign aid. I'm trying to pull up a list here. Let alone the debt ceiling suspension, aid to Ukraine, making it impossible to investigate insider trading. So that was basically a giveaway to Pelosi. Anyway, I've got a list over here. I don't want to get too far off track. This thing was loaded with garbage. And Elon just used his platform. That's all he did. He didn't walk into the Capitol building. He didn't make any phone calls to elected officials. He didn't do any of these things. Oh, yeah, the football stadium. Yeah, right. An NFL football stadium in that bill. Crucial. Oh, my goodness. What are we going to do without another NFL football stadium? We can't expect the United States to operate like that. 1,600 pages this bill was. No one could have read it. And they tried to push it through before the Christmas holiday so they could say, look, we got the government funded through the holiday. No, what they were trying to do was squeeze it through in a way that nobody was going to resist it. It was going to give everybody free reign to say, oh, no, I wasn't voting for that part of the bill. We had to have disaster relief. We had to get it. Elon went public. He threw out on X all the stuff that was in that bill. He threw out on X the fact that any of those important things, the storm relief, the aid to farmers, could have been voted on as single ticket items. All of those things. And people genuinely didn't understand how the process works. He was laying out for the same American electorate that just elected Donald Trump in a landslide and gave him a legislative mandate by giving him both houses of Congress, and basically laid it out in front of these voters to say, hey, this is what you voted for. This is what you voted against. They're trying to do this. You need to call these numbers and get along with your representatives. And they did. They did. By the tens of thousands. They derailed the bill. The bill cratered. Yeah. Oddly enough, there was a clean bill that was only 150, 160 pages that they had waiting in the wings for the super essential stuff. It's almost as if 90% of this big stack of paper meant nothing and was just giveaway programs for the machine taking care of the machine, which we would not have known about. It would have been business as usual. But Elon handed them their ass. They're not even in office yet, but on the 20th next month, they will be. And that Department of Government Efficiency just painted a picture of how things are going to run from here on out. This greasing palms on the side deals, this, you feed me your pork and I'll feed you mine. These giveaways to contractors and lobbyists, about to go the way of the dinosaurs, son. This was huge, man. This was big. And we all need to be feeling good about it. because a whole lot of people were having doubts, and a whole lot of people still have doubts. The Neil Rosses of the world that didn't want you to even vote because probably just going to steal it again anyway. The Eeyores out there. Don't bother voting. Nothing's going to change. Oh, wow. The vote, we won in a landslide. Yeah, but nothing's going to change. And the first thing that they try to railroad through before the man is even in office gets shut down forcibly by nothing but one social media platform and the voice of the American people. Do y'all not see how amazing that is? In light of what? I mean, what is wrong? Have you guys you guys don't know what a win looks like anymore? I've been down so long, the bottom looks like up. The usual suspects are freaking out in the usual suspect kind of way, as one would expect from the usual suspects. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even get to the important part, Ryan. Yeah, the audacity on top of everything else with an approval rating in the single digits, they gave themselves a nice fat pay raise. How about that? The slim down bill, don't know if it gave them the pay raise or not. But when they gave them the slim down bill, when the slim down bill came, the same Democrats that wanted the 1,600 pager, they voted no. Why? Same things were in it. Had disaster relief. Isn't that what you're hiding behind? Had the funding for disaster relief. Children's cancer research, that was in slim down bill. The other thing you hid behind, those mean, evil, nasty Republicans are voting against childhood cancer research and storm relief and everything. And the media, the propaganda ministers, they did what they're supposed to do. They carried the message, carried that message, repeated the lies. Only problem was nobody was watching that Maddow fella or that Stelter chick. Nobody was watching. Where were they? They were on X. You're all right, brother. You're all right. I appreciate you, Mr. Jude. That's Brother Jude, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you made it out. Nobody was paying attention. Try just speaking truth. I know that's anathema to the existence of these people. How many times have I said it here? Fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. Fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. Now it's being offered to them, and they are swarming to it. Joe Rogan, first guy to give an honest interview to people from all sides of the political spectrum. Crap, man, people are speaking truth over there. Let's go check that out. Media platform like Rumble. Well, oh, what? You mean they don't censor stuff? Like literally, man, people can talk about biolabs in the Ukraine and you know and that that COVID was a lab leak. I mean, people could actually like speak their minds over there and not get censored. Yeah, boom, people swarm. What did they say? When Elon went in and bought that and cut 2/3 of the employees right out of the starting gate. Roman, you feel free to chime in right now. You know, and you know why. Feel free to chime in right now. Elon went in there and cut 80% of the workforce on day one? Get the hell out. Oh, this thing's going to collapse. He's going to lose all that money. Elon's an idiot. He's not going to have the reach. He did it his way. And guess what? Right, thank you. Half the employees. Yep. And Dennis, yes, I did see Tim Pool going off on that guy that tried to say the J6 people were supposed to be in there. That's the whole thing, man. Tim Pool, there's another example. This guy built his own little media empire. Just a goofy looking dude with the same beanie cap every day, built a media empire that has more reach than CNN and MSNBC put together. And he just joined forces with the Daily Wire. We demand that you get back in this room and let us lie to you again. Who do you think you are? Finding your own sources of information. Because that's what they all sound like to me right now. Yeah, Elon to them all. Yes. That was the moment. They keep saying, oh, he's going to fail. Any day now, it's all going to collapse. Any day now, MAGA is going to fall apart. Any day now, X is going to collapse. And they do their best to make it happen with the force of government behind them, and they still can't make it work. Why? Because fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. It's happening, and we're getting to see it. That moment that Ryan's talking about, literally. What do you mean he's not going to do what the sponsors? The sponsors are pulling out. He better get with the program. He better start pushing this woke stuff like all the rest of the machine, or he's just going to fall apart. And what did he say? Go yourself. Particularly to the big dog, Disney, Bob Iger, who was in the room at the time. The first time, and guys, I've done whole sermons on this, the first time in human history that the richest man on the planet isn't one of them. Y'all starting to feel me now? A lot of people like to hate on billionaires. A whole lot of people like to hate on billionaires just for the sake of being billionaires, and I get it. I get it. You're looking at a different kind of billionaire because you're looking at a different kind of human being. We used to revere men like this, and now we've got a whole nother reason to start revering this human being because he made it possible. This platform that he bought, he made it possible for this first bill out of the gate before Trump even gets into the office for this bill to be defeated. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, that he and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be running, they're not even in their offices yet. The department technically doesn't even exist yet. And they shut down a 1,600-page bill full of billions of dollars to feed the machine. Why are people upset about this? We know why. We know why people are upset about this. We don't want billionaires controlling the government. You mean like George Soros? We don't think billionaires should have like, media platforms. Oh, you mean like Bezos at the Washington Post? People shouldn't just be able to go and print whatever they want, First Amendment. Nobody elected Elon Musk. Okay, fair point. Who elected Anthony Fauci? Who elected Christopher Wray? Who elected Merrick Garland? Or Alejandro Mayorkas? Who elected any of those people? And the departments that they run? You don't have a problem with billionaires. You don't have a problem with billionaires having influence. You don't have a problem with unelected billionaires. You have a problem with unelected billionaires with influence that aren't on your team. Call it what it is. I will at least respect the honesty and candor. You don't like Elon Musk because he's not one of you. That's it. Simple rewind 20 years. Hell, man, not even 20 years, 10 years, simple 10-year rewind. Before he came out and spoke his politics, every one of the people shrieking about him right now loved him. They love that man. He's given them their clean power and their electric cars. He's going to take us into space. Elon's just dreamy. Kind of like the way I act about him now, if we're being honest. A little reality check. Anyway, they all felt that way about him. They all felt that way about him. Until he went political. I'll spare you the rant about the difference between infidels and apostates because you've already heard it a million times. The important part is this. We're running it. We're running it. And they're in a panic. Ryan, I'm going to call you as soon as I get out, bro. As soon as I get out of this, I'm going to give you a buzz. Okay? We're in charge now. The home team is winning. And a whole lot of people are going to paint that in all kinds of bad light. Whole lot of people are going to paint that in all kinds of bad light. Every single success that we have is going to be orchestrated into a failure, is going to be spun and intellectual gymnasticked into a failure. Every triumph that we have is going to be crafted and spun into a triumph for the new Reich. The beauty of it is, nobody's buying it. You're the media that cried wolf. The boy who cried wolf is the media that cried fascist. None of it means anything anymore. People are tired of being lied to. And I got to tell you, there's going to be some things coming through here that I might not even agree with. And I'll let you know when they happen. But at the end of the day, the opposition made every bit of this possible by seizing executive power by unconstitutional means and conglomerating that power in the hands of the executive. They handed that power over to the opposition because they never thought they were going to lose. All these emergency acts, all these sweeping, cutting back the fact of having to have a 2/3 majority to end a filibuster to like a basic majority to end a filibuster. One of the things that they tried to do, they were about to hand that power over to the Democrats. Hey, guys, all y'all that wanted to stack the Supreme Court, where y'all now? Where y'all now? Huh? Oh, now it's all about compromise and bipartisanship, right? All y'all that wanted to stack the Supreme Court, where you at now? All y'all that wanted to end the filibuster, where you at now? Where you at now? Yeah, suddenly those things are important because bipartisanship and compromise only exist with these people when they are in charge. And you know what? You can't lie about that either. Your mask is off. People see you for who you are, and they are ready to take anything. And you've got no one to blame but yourself. No one. See John Fetterman become the most patriotic Democrat. Brother, I have been watching Fetterman. I don't know if he's like recovering from his head injury or if it went just like too far and it's totally shifted his personality. But I like a lot of the things that I'm seeing out of John Fetterman, man. I really am. I really am digging that. And all you conspiracy guys, you can spare me the whole, hey, it's not the real John Fetterman, man. You can see his earlobes are different. Yeah. Go hang out with Neil and the Flat Earth guys. All right, man. Just spare me. The stroke gave him conservative superpowers. It may very well have. Point that I'm getting around to is we are hitting the ground running and we are in charge, and it is a beautiful thing. Speaking with regard to those things that they are gonna try to turn around on us, that they're gonna try to make these victories for the right, that they're going to try to make these accomplishments setbacks, all of the spin that they're going to have to be doing. One of the biggest parts of that has to do with two things that happened this week and what they both say about the culture over there and over here. One of them already went into. One of them I already went into with that sick, upright walking canine Guatemalan piece of human debris that set that woman on fire in the subway. Oh, it's just an isolated example, right? And like the four that jumped on the cops and beat them up in broad daylight, and the Biden administration turned them loose. Isolated example, right? The tens of thousands of rape victims and murder victims, victims of violent crime in this country at the hands of people who should not have been here in the first place. The weight of carrying them in these shelters at our expense, while they brutalize, while they dehumanize, while they do their best to undermine the culture that was kind enough to take them in. These are some of the things that are going to happen going forward. Those mass deportations are going to happen. Tom Homan had a moment, and I think that moment pretty much laid it out for everyone when he said, when they tried to get him with a gotcha question, is there any way to do mass deportations without breaking up families? He was like, sure there is. Families can be deported together. Don't you have any compassion for these children? I don't know these children. As a human being, as a Christian, you have the basic human compassion that you wish they were not in that position. But I did not put them there. This country did not put them there. The people of this country did not put them there. Their parents did. Their parents did, assisted by corrupt government officials, by corrupt NGOs, by people who are involved in human trafficking. I will not hear your emotion-based arguments anymore. Get them gone. What about the families? Send them all. Send them all. Because I'm not playing the game of what makes me a bad person. In your eyes, loving everyone and welcoming them all in with open arms is the only way to be a good and proper moral human being. You've never seen the face of a child that was pulled out of a human trafficking operation. You have never seen a rape tree up close. You have never smelled a body that's been putrefying in the desert sun for a week. You have never sat and listened to the testimony of an 11-year-old girl who was gang raped repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over again, trying to get here because of promises that our open borders president made, because of the words and the assistance. Mark, you already know I'm talking to you. Because of the words and the assistance of these NGOs. And a lot of those folks might step on some toes here. But my walk ain't with the building. My walk is with the carpenter. Y'all tracking? So all these church groups that have facilitated this stuff. I'm talking about Catholic Charities. I'm talking about some of the Methodist organizations. I'm talking about a lot of these church groups who are getting their kickbacks, who are facilitating these migrants being brought across the border, knowing what is at stake. But I hope God gets to you before I do, son. We're not playing this game anymore because we see the reality. If you're unwilling to accept that, I am perfectly okay. I'm going to sleep like a baby. I am going to sleep like a baby, knowing that you think that I'm a horrible person, I'm just a dreadful, despicable, racist, bigot character who doesn't care about families or starving children. And it's just... What? Horrible, horrible, privileged white man speaking from the... All gone. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. The tide has turned. Tom raised an excellent point. He's not even president yet, and the OnlyFans girls are abstaining. The soy boys are hitting the gym, and the Democrats are pushing. Democrats are pushing for the country. Yeah, it's happened. It's happened. Why? Because people are fundamentally suckers for the truth. You're going to catch a lot because culturally they're seeing it over in Germany right now as well. Went over in the opener. The media is playing into it. A car drove itself to a Christmas market. This is how desperate these people have got. They tried to say that this Saudi migrant was an Islamophobe, a right-wing extremist Islamophobe who supports the AFD. That's what they tried to say about the market guy. Did he deny that he was a Muslim? Did he call himself an atheist when trying to get into the country? Probably. Because the last thing you want is to say, I'm a Muslim, when people are starting to get tired of Muslim immigrants doing violent stuff. Are you going to talk the talk? Yeah. But spare me, man. An Islamophobe, and that's what motivated him to drive a car through a group of Christians. Got it. Oh, yeah, dude, God's total neo-Nazi. And this is the thing. He was a doctor. Psychiatrist, I want to say, but was a doctor. Had lived there for years. So this whole thing, what about the ones who have assimilated? What about the ones who have been here all this time? They've established themselves. Don't care. With regard to Islam, you got to go. You got to go, man. You got to go. Now, different situation over there, but this open border thing has left us wide open. People are here that are culturally incompatible with us. Do you understand? How many of you guys have ever spent time in Mexico outside of the tourist areas? How many of you guys have been to like the seedier parts of the border towns? They're just like us, and they have the same respect for human life, and they just want to come here and make the most of everything America has to offer. Okay. Culturally, they're incompatible. And even if they were compatible, they go through the legal channels or they do not. I will spare you the BS of the nation of immigrants melting pot thing because we went over it just 2 weeks ago. The larger point is this. They will try to spin it 6 ways from Sunday. Every immigrant that gets booted out of here is going to be just the most stellar. All his neighbors loved him. He never did anything to hurt anyone. His kids were good students in school. A, you're lying. B, even if you were not, I don't care. It's already shifted, man. There's nothing any of us can do about that. You know, people still have an appreciation. People, what is that? You mentioned Goku, the cartels will leave you alone, right? Nuance isn't dead. I got to thinking about this. You guys remember, let me see if I got a picture of this cat that I can pull up. You guys remember Brian Thompson, right? Guy that got killed, CEO of United Healthcare, that got wasted by that guy Luigi. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do a big breakdown on that, right? And you remember, same week that happened, the trial was going on with Daniel Penny. I started thinking about those two killings and several others as well. Those two in particular. Brian Thompson may never have committed any actual prosecutable crimes. Okay. Certainly no violent crimes. Guy probably never been in a fist fight his whole life. Right. But he was indirectly responsible for way more deaths than this guy was directly responsible for. You know, AOC called out Daniel Penny and said it's a tragedy that he expressed no remorse. Remorse. Remorse is when you do something wrong. Okay? There's no reason for him to express. What, just because he ended a man's life, he was supposed to express remorse? Those same people, I wonder if they're asking Luigi Mangione, whatever the kid's name was, that shot Brian Thompson. I wonder if they ask him if he feels any remorse, because I saw the same media people cheering that on. I saw a U.S. Congresswoman say sooner or later people are going to take things into their own hands when they've had enough. Oh, really? Oh, really? Sooner or later, when people have had enough, they're going to take things into their own hands. Well, that's certainly interesting. Nuance is not dead. I've said that a number of times on this program that I felt like nuance was dead. I think people have still got room in their heads to process it. I really do. I think people have still got room in their heads to process it. Whether or not they exercise that for real is anybody's guess. I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying that they still have the capacity for it, in my opinion. And it was these two killings that made me think that. We understand that Brian Thompson himself didn't do anything violent, didn't commit any prosecutable crimes, but his actions, he was able to rationalize it in his head how it was okay, how he wasn't directly responsible for these people dying. All he was doing was sticking with the business model. All he was doing was protecting the shareholders. And that's why our policies have to be this way without seeing the reality of it on the ground. But the people who are directly affected, assuming the official story is true, of course, the people who were directly affected saw the results of it on the ground, and that person had had enough, and they took things into their own hands, and they ended the guy's life. And you ask him if he's got any remorse about shooting Brian Thompson, I would imagine he's going to say no. In the same way that when you ask Daniel Penny, when he's standing there looking at this homicidal vagrant, this guy who he couldn't have known that at the time, doesn't matter. This guy who had previously punched a 67-year-old woman in the face so hard that it shattered her orbital and had multiple other violent offenses, is threatening to kill people on the train. This guy puts him in a rear naked choke, doesn't kill him right off the bat, lets him go. Guy's still breathing when the cops show up. The cops won't even do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on the guy when he does start to lose consciousness, and they hang it on him and they ask him if he's got any remorse. See, again, that nuance isn't dead. It's just restricted to how close you are to the proximity of the results. Y'all tracking me on this? People understand that actions have consequences. People understand some deep level that if you push good people far enough, sooner or later they're going to do bad things. But the proximity is everything. The people who were cheering about Brian Thompson getting shot by this little maggot. Oh, I'm calling him a maggot, so that means I must support Brian Thompson. No, it does not. I'm sure Brian Thompson, by any measure with regard to those policies, was a despicable human being that thought himself above it all because he's just serving the purpose. In the same way that that kid that shot him thought that he was doing the right thing, justified in his own head. And the people who are judging it from outside, it all depends on their proximity. Real easy to cheer on a guy like Luigi Mangione. Oh, great job, man. Take down that billionaire, bro. They've never seen anybody killed. They've never seen anybody die most of the time, let alone die by an act of violence. The people who are calling for his head, telling me that Daniel Penny was supposed to have some remorse before placing that guy, for placing that guy in a chokehold and the guy's life coming to an end. Real easy to armchair quarterback that from your comfortable suburban home because you've never had the filth of a disgusting piece of human debris like that threatening your life inches from your face. Flecks of spit flying out of his mouth, hitting you in the eye, and you don't know what biological pathogen this piece of garbage might be carrying. And you'd be praying for a guy like Daniel Penny to come along. But you've got proximity, man. You can distance yourself from it. I say all that to say this. Proximity does count. Proximity does count, and it will count going forward. The problem for those who have distanced themselves from it, the Martha's Vineyard crowd that think that illegal immigrants are just a fine bunch of folks because they don't have to live around them. They are insulated from the crime that they bring. They are insulated from all the other things that are going on. Those people aren't calling the shots anymore. The people who are in proximity of it, they're the great unwashed. They're the deplorables. They're the scumbags. They're the red hat MAGA crowd. They're the ones that everybody has chosen to hate, and they have spoken. And here's the beauty of it. Fundamentally, people are suckers for the truth. They had 4 years of getting to see what the truth looked like up close. The truth of what they profess to want, because they're all good, loving, tolerant people. This is all about America, by the way. Europe is a different thing, but Europe is hitting that same tipping point right now. And when it goes in Europe, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's going to be something to behold. The AfD is getting ready to win those elections in Germany in February. Mark my words. Marine Le Pen's party, and I'm sorry Clem's not here to back me on this one, is about to win in France because they don't have the luxury of lack of proximity anymore. They're having to look at the results of what they profess to want. We love it. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. They're all God's children. They're just like us. They all want the same things. We can live and coexist with them. We'll just be one happy melting pot. And if you were a good person, you'd want them in your neighborhood too. There are open apartments, there are open motel rooms. We have the space. If you were a good person like I'm a good person, those good people are singing a different tune now. Why? Because they don't have the luxury of removing themselves from it anymore. It's one thing to say we should all be welcoming when it was all restricted to Texas, because they didn't give a damn about Texans in the first place. Bunch of hicks down there, bunch of unwashed Republican voters down there. It didn't matter. All of a sudden, the migrants are in their backyard and they got to deal with what they said they wanted. I'm sorry, did you just say you were a sanctuary city? Did I just look up a video on YouTube of when city council passed that you were a sanctuary city? You danced like a freaking Broadway chorus girl with your campaign aids. We're a sanctuary city. We're a sanctuary city. And now you got to reap it. We have been reaping it for years. In Texas, they've been reaping it for decades. But I don't have to change anyone's mind. All I got to do is make them live up to their own rhetoric. Governor Greg Abbott did that very thing. Governor Ron DeSantis did that very thing. Oh, you want them so bad? Here you go. Here you go. About to be a rude awakening in New York because there are a lot of hotel people that are working with these NGOs. NGOs are getting government money. The NGOs are paying for these hotel rooms that are putting up the migrants. And the hotel owners, they couldn't be happier. Full occupancy year round with a waiting list. Sure beats the hell out of competing for people's business, doesn't it? Do you understand how deep this goes? This oversimplification. Well, I want to do what feels right in my heart. Is getting people raped and killed. I'm totally okay with you thinking I'm a horrible person, as long as I know that the things that I am advocating are not getting people raped and killed. You have an apartment or a home, don't you? If there isn't a migrant sleeping in your spare bedroom or on your couch and two homeless guys' tents in your backyard, I'm going to politely ask you to sit down and shut the hell up. This is the thing about proximity. It's great to think yourself wonderful until you actually have to live with the consequences. Now, the people of New York, and here's the good one. The black people of New York and Chicago, the ones that the Democrats really, really used to count on until they found a new minority of choice to politically exploit. They're having to live side by side by these people who don't belong there in the first place. And the one thing, you could say whatever you want about the racial politics of this country, black Americans have a legitimate grievance. At the very least, their families were brought here against their will. That doesn't mean I owe you reparations, but what it does mean is that Tyrone has a hell of a lot more claim to his historical hood than Jose and Jose B that just came across the border at the behest of an NGO thanks to Alejandro Mayorkas and the Biden administration. And the black Americans are sick of it. You have heard me say it, and you have seen me walk it all my life if you've known that. Even when I was running with a hardcore stiff arm salute crowd, I have always maintained that I have more. As a blue-collar white man, I have more in common with a blue-collar black man than I will ever have in common with a white-collar white American politician or an illegal that stole into the country in the first place. And that's where we're at. All the little Pollyannas, all the little college Karens, all the little Stasi Karens. We should welcome them all. And now they're having to live with it. And suddenly their minds are changing. Now, the white liberals, they're not going to pony up and say, wow, we were wrong. The Martha's Vineyard crowd, you remember when they sent the busload of them to Martha's Vineyard? They all panicked. They called in the National Guard and had them off the island in less than 24 hours because they're so freaking compassionate. They're having to live with it now. They'll never pony up and admit that they're wrong. But bet your ass that black America is letting them hear it. Did you see that woman go off on Chicago's mayor the other day? My goodness, if you have not seen that video on YouTube, you need to look it up. There were some N-bombs dropped at that mayor. And he deserved every last one of them. And this woman was wearing a red MAGA shirt while she's taking this dude down. It was beautiful, bro. We're going to hear it. Every one of them that gets tossed, we're going to hear it. Another tragedy. Another family broken apart. What you're not going to hear is another fentanyl death avoided. What you're not going to hear is another apartment complex that isn't under control of a Venezuelan gang. What you're not going to hear is another victim of a gang rape, 12 years old, savaged and left to die under a bridge in Houston, Texas. What you're not going to hear is we just avoided another nursing student having her head stove in with a rock after struggling for 18 minutes. Laken Riley, if you're wondering. That's what you're not going to hear. But we don't need to hear that. It is enough to know that we are on the side of right and good. And if it helps them to get through saying that we're bad people, saying that Darth Cheeto is a bigot and a racist, if that helps them get through, man, then God love them, man. God love them. I'll be your bigot. I'll be your racist. Because I'm concerned with two things. Hello, Stacy. Glad you made it. I'm concerned with two things. The well-being of American citizens and the survival of Western civilization. Outside of my faith, those are the only things that matter. I am concerned about my faith, my family, and the fight. My faith above all, my family, including a lot of y'all that are gathered here that have either been through pain with me or spilled blood, sweat, and tears on the mats with me, or gone to the wall knuckles up, side by side or against each other over the years, because brothers fight sometimes. I care about my faith. My faith is what grounds me. My Savior, my Lord, the King of Kings. He reigns above all. He is a pinnacle import. After that, it is my family, those that love me and those that I have chosen to love, and the fight. Fight encompasses a lot of things, but at its root, the fight is for the preservation of Christendom and for the preservation of Western civilization. What do we say, man? What's the one that I always come back to from the opener? You guys know. Tradition is not the worship of ashes. It is the preservation of fire. And I believe in the fire of that Western civilization. I believe in everything that Christendom and Western civilization has given the world. Not just our part of the world. You realize we have elevated everyone. These magnificent things that we have accomplished as God's highest expression of humanity on the face of this planet in the course of history. We have elevated everyone. Even the ones who we horribly colonized and abused and exploited for their resources are doing a damn sight better now than before we showed up. And I will tell you from my heart of hearts, if Western civilization dies, the concept of civilization dies 100 years behind it or less. The beauty of it is we win. I believe that deeply in my heart of hearts, not just because it is ordained in the scriptures, not just because I read the book and I've got the spoiler alert, but because I believe that deeply in every single value about the sovereignty of the individual, about the freedom to speak, about chivalry, about division of responsibilities across lines of age and gender. I believe in the fundamental structure of the nuclear family and its importance to the sustainability of any civilization. And I have seen our track record historically in the West. At our best and at our worst, I have watched this historical arc and I have watched this cratering, this plummet post-World War II. We lost our way. Some people would say even sooner than that. We have lost our way. And part of that is our own downfall, because one of the things that's just hardwired into us is to give the benefit of the doubt. That tolerance that the other side's always talking about. We will make allowances for you. We don't want to be the one to go in and crush everything. That was something we left behind in the past. We don't roll like that anymore. We're totally content for you to have your little pedophile prophet and to diddle kids and to mutilate children. We're totally okay with that because that's how tolerant we are. That became pinnacle of what we were trying to express for ourselves. Look how tolerant we are. How tolerant we are. How tolerant we are of cultures that set sleeping people on fire. How tolerant we are of cultures that allow genital mutilation of young women. So tolerant of that we can be tolerant of subcultures here that advocate for genital mutilation of healthy kids, adolescents. And this is virtue? Bet your ass that we've hit that tipping point and the time has come. And the backlash is gonna be glorious. But before you go crying and expect me to lose sleep over all those wonderful, upstanding people that are going to be hurt by this backlash. What do we see it every time? What just happened in Magdeburg, Germany? And we hear it every time there is an attack by these goat-humping savages. Every time it happens, what do we hear from Europe? And what do we hear in the American press? Well, the real concern right now is the backlash against Muslims. We need to be really, really upset about that. Really. Not the 5 people that just got run over, by that car. No, we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about a dozen people being killed by a bus driving through a Christmas market. We don't need to worry about the 30 people killed by a bomb in Malmö, Sweden. No, we don't need to worry about those. Those are just white European colonizers. We don't need to worry about that. They're just privileged denizens of the West. No, what we really need to worry about, is the backlash and bigotry that Muslims are going to suffer as a result of this 100th incident. Enough. I don't care about the backlash. I don't care about those chickens coming home to roost, or goats in this instance. I don't care. I can't be bothered to lose sleep over people who came here with the intent to kill me, to kill and harm my family, and destroyed the civilization that my people and my blood have built. I can't be bothered to lose sleep because they didn't get their shot. We nip it now. We send them home. We close it down. We remember who the hell we are, and we stop apologizing for it. Or we continue to tolerate ourselves right out of existence. Those are the options that are before us. You want to know how the Rev feels about it? I'll tell you how the Rev feels about it. The Rev feels pretty damn good because the people that are about to be in charge haven't even stepped in the door of the office yet. And we're already fighting forward after decades of fighting back. It is a good time to be alive. It is a good time to be a denizen of Western civilization. And it is a damn good time to be an American. I am the Reverend, and that is the gospel. I'm going to close with a prayer right here. Lord God, don't let my words and my intentions be misread. Lord, this isn't coming from a place of hatred. This isn't coming from a place of hostility. This is coming from a place of fire. This is coming from a place of optimism. This is coming from a place of light and brightness and realizing that historical inflection point that we stand at the precipice of, Lord. That's where this is coming from. Don't let my words be misread. I have nothing but love in my heart for Christendom. I have nothing but love in my heart for this civilization that Christendom, anchored in our faith in you, has created. Not just for ourselves, but for the world. And I can't lie, Lord, I can't lie. There were times where that fog got a little thick. I never doubted you, but I did doubt the resolve of my blood. I did doubt the resolve of my people. We have sailed clear of that fog, Lord. We have sailed clear of that fog now. We've got a full scope of what lies in front of us on that battlefield. And they haven't changed. They haven't changed. Pastor Mark Driscoll said, new days, old demons. He's right. Same old demons. Just couching themselves in different rhetoric, couching themselves in different illusions of ideology, but it's all the same. They are aligned to one end, Lord. They are aligned to one end, and that is to destroy your work. That is to lay waste to your children and the things that your children have created. That is to cast doubt on the faith, to cast doubt on you, to cast doubt on your divinity, and I'm not having it. None of us here are having it. And I will stand with any righteous man or woman, whether they walk in the faith or whether they do not share that faith, if they are willing to stand against the enemies of the West, the enemies of truth, and the enemies of all that is good and righteous in this world. What do they say to us, Lord? They say, I don't need some book. I don't need some moral code to tell me how to live. I know what's good. I know what's righteous. Okay, if they're really living that, then may your blessings be upon them. I will stand with the righteous, whether they share that faith or not, but they must be willing to stand, Lord, because we're willing to stand. Here I am, Lord, send me. Says me, says Turtle. I see you out there, brother. Says Bill Wade, says Dennis, says Jake. All my brothers in Christ who are out there, and all my brothers who are out there that don't share the faith. Here I am, Lord, send me. Fight is on. The fight is on. What a glorious time to be alive, Lord, and I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for the opportunity to be alive in this moment and to be able to serve the kingdom and put my gifts to work to glorify the kingdom and to glorify your name. Omnia ad regnum, all things for the kingdom, Lord. I pray in the name of the risen Christ, washed in his blood, my redemption paid for, without one spirit of fear, without one spirit of apprehension or doubt, all in faith, all for the kingdom. In the name of the risen Christ, whom I ever serve, amen. I love y'all. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Real quick update, and then I'm going to leave you to it. I'm heading out Wednesday morning. Got to be down in Winnemucca, Nevada, start a new crane gig on Friday, and we're going to roll with it. Also, passed the CDL exam, guys, so that is another credential that I carry in my pocket now. It's been good. However, having said that, I'm still kind of pinched right now until I get that first paycheck. So if you guys happen to want to throw me something, that would be fantastic. I could certainly use it. In the meantime, between time, you guys know, I'm going to pass around a digital collection plate. You guys already know, man, I'm on Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Facebook Pay, all that good stuff. If you want to throw me something. However, we are still living in a Biden-Harris economy for another few weeks. And in the meantime, in between time, I get it. It might not have anything to kick down. I get that. But spread the word, man. If you got a Facebook page, repost the sermon. Tell them fat, toothless, crippled crane operator with some opinions, getting on ranting and raving every Sunday for a couple hours, man. We can use the help. Appreciate you guys. And here's what you can do. Not for me, but for yourselves. You guys already know. I didn't see Stone here today. Stone couldn't make it out. Live the three, baby. Hashtag live the three. Live the three. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Live the three. I'm talking about the three prime directives, brother. I'm talking about the three prime directives. Signal and noise. They will try to bury you in the noise. The noise is all the distractions. The noise is all the lies. It's all the misconceptions. It's all the deceptions and depravity that's out there. They're trying to bury you in the noise. You got to have the signal, and that signal is truth. That signal is solid info that counts. You've got to be able to punch that signal through the noise. Directive number 2, light in the darkness. Light in the darkness. What are you talking about? They will try to bury you with that darkness. Try to make you think there's nothing left but that darkness. They will emasculate you. They will demoralize you. They will dehumanize you with the darkness. You have got to carry that light through the darkness over time, or have the strength to punch that light through the darkness to the other side. Which brings us to the most important one, the third directive, the iron rule. You have got to be strength in a world that reveres weakness. And I'm not just talking about this kind of strength is important, but it can't just be here. It's got to be here. It's got to be here. And yes, even here, you got to let your balls drop and put some steel in your spine, people. Because without strength, why is strength the most important? Because without strength, none of the rest of it matters. Without strength, you won't have the punch to get that signal through the noise. Without strength, you won't have the endurance to carry that light through the darkness or to punch it through to the other side. So strength above all. And when you pray at night, strength, clarity, and discernment. Because the ways of the deceiver are out there. The father of lies is the father of lies for a reason. And his minions are always at work. They never sleep. Strength, clarity, and discernment. Let me see through the lies. Let me see through the deception and have the strength to persevere. God bless every one of y'all, man. Thank you for being here. This might be the last one before the new year, but I'll see you soon. See you on Sunday. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Praise God always, in all things, for every blessing and every trial. Adversity is what makes you who you are. God bless y'all. I love you.